So today I wanted to talk about a skill that it seems like a lot of my students struggle with, and that's adding and subtracting positive and negative numbers. Now, Common Core does a really good job of teaching why we do the things that we do. So for example, they'll talk about the number line, and if you're adding, then you're going to go to the right, and if you're subtracting, you're going to go to the left. So they do a good job of explaining why it is that we do what we do, but it doesn't do a good job at helping you drill the skill in. And essentially in high school, that's really what you need to be able to do. You just, when you look at a problem like this, you need to be able to just know exactly what to do without thinking about the number line, without thinking about, you know, positives and negatives, canceling out, things like that. You want to be able to just look at the problem and be able to solve it. So essentially what we're looking for when we're adding, subtracting positive, negative numbers is the signs, okay? If they're the same signs, then we're going to add the numbers together and then just give it the sign that they both share. So if they're both positive, then your answer is going to be positive. If they're both negative, the answer is going to be negative. Okay, if they're opposite signs, then we're going to subtract the numbers and then give it the sign of the bigger number. Now, when we subtract the numbers at that point, we don't care which one's positive, we don't care which one's negative. We're just going to subtract the bigger number minus the smaller number. That's it. And then we'll figure out the sign, and it's going to be the sign of whichever number is bigger. So if the bigger number was positive, then your answer is going to be positive. And if the bigger number was negative, then your answer is going to be negative. So let's look at how this would work in actual examples. So for example, if you have 5 plus 3, okay, you've been doing problems like this from elementary school. They should be very natural. And what we want to do is get all these problems to kind of feel like that, to get to that point where you look at the problem and it's very natural what you do. So because 5 plus 3, they're both positive, so they're the same signs, we're going to add them together, which is 8. And because they're both positive, they share the positive sign, your answer is also going to be positive. So it's positive 8. What about negative 5 plus negative 3? This time they're both negative, but they're still the same signs. So we still add the numbers, the 5 and the 3. So that gives us 8. But because they're both negative, they're going to get the sign that they both share, which is a negative. So your answer would be negative 8. What if you have a negative 5 plus 3? Well, they're opposite signs. So what you do is just subtract the numbers. So 5 minus 3. So again, we don't care about which one's positive or negative right now. We're just going to subtract the numbers, which is 5 minus 3, which gives us 2. And then give it the sign of the bigger number. Now the 5 is a bigger number and that one's negative, so our answer is going to be a negative 2. And what if you have 5 plus a negative 3? Well, first thing I want to mention is that this would be the exact same thing as having 5 minus 3. Now, a lot of my students didn't realize that when you have a plus, a negative, that's really the same thing as just having a subtraction, okay? So what you're looking for is, again, the sign. And the way to find the sign is look at the sign right in front of it. So the 5, there's no sign in front, so it automatically defaults to a positive. And in front of the 3, there's a minus, but you can basically essentially think about that as a negative sign. So they are opposite signs, so what you want to do is subtract the numbers. So 5 minus 3, which gives us 2, and then give it the sign of the bigger number. And 5 is bigger, so that's why it's going to be positive. Okay, what if we're subtracting now? Okay, so for example, we have 4 minus 7. Again, they're opposite signs because signs in front, positive and a negative, so they're opposite signs. So you want to subtract the number, so 7 minus 4, which gives us 3, and then give it the sign of the bigger number. The 7 is bigger and it's negative, so it's going to be a negative 3. Okay, what if you have negative 4 minus a negative 7? Okay, don't forget, when you have a minus a negative, they both really become a plus. So some people will change them both to pluses. Some people connect them to make a plus. Either way is totally fine, but what you end up with is a negative 4 plus 7. Then you look at the signs. So in front of the 4 is a negative, in front of 7 is a plus or a positive. So they're opposite signs, so you want to subtract the numbers. So 7 minus 4 gives us 3, and then give it the sign of the bigger number. So 7 is bigger and it's positive, so your answer is going to be positive 3. Okay, what if you have negative 4 minus 7? They're both negative, so you add the numbers together, which gives us 11, and because they're both negative and they share a negative sign. Okay, what if you have 4 minus a negative 7? Again, minus a negative really becomes a plus, so what you end up with is a 4 plus 7, and so you add the numbers together, which gives us 11, and the sign that they both share is positive. So that's how you basically add or subtract positive and negative numbers. If you need more practice, or if you want to talk about specific issues that you're having, contact me and we can work that out.